Welcome to another story made by Oracle One. It was one of those frozen December evenings when the world outside seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the storm to descend. At ever-bustling Elmwood International Airport, echoes of hurried footsteps and rolling suitcases swirled in sharp contrast to the oppressive stillness growing beyond the giant glass panels. A blizzard was closing in fast, the kind that would strand hundreds of passengers for hours, if not days. Among them, two strangers stood on the precipice of an unexpected journey, one they never imagined they'd embark on. Grace Harper was a whirlwind of calm chaos. Tall, with a smoky cascade of dark brown hair pulled into a messy bun, she wore a worn leather jacket over a crimson scarf that contrasted beautifully with her porcelain skin. She gripped the handle of her battered suitcase, trying to process the airline agent's terse words. All flights grounded until further notice. Sit tight. Grace was headed home for Christmas. Just the usual, family, silence, familiarity. She wasn't expecting fireworks or romance, certainly not here, surrounded by the drone of delayed flight announcements and the anxious murmurs of restless travelers. She let out a sigh that melted into the chill as she scanned the crowded waiting area. That's when she noticed him. He was leaning against a pillar not far from the coffee kiosk, his hands shoved deep into the pockets of a navy pea coat. A strong jawline softened by an easy smile, messy blonde curls that looked like they'd resisted combing all day, and clear blue eyes that sparkled amidst the dull fluorescent lights. He was looking right at her, or so it seemed, as if the entire storm outside had condensed into that one gaze. "Storm's coming," he said, grinning, his voice a low rumble that somehow pierced the din. Grace answered with a cautious smile. "You think it's going to be this bad?" He shrugged, closing the slight distance between them. "Yeah, and it looks like we're both stuck." His name was Lucas Reed. They quickly found themselves sitting together on the cold metal bench, the hum of a delayed flight mixing with scattered conversations and the abrasive crackle of an airline broadcast. The storm had worsened, and the next news came with stubborn finality: flights cancelled indefinitely. The airport was turning into a temporary home, an unexpected limbo for everyone caught in the grip of winter's fury. Lucas pulled an aching smile, eyes uncertain. "So, what now? Spend the night hanging out with strangers and pretending it's not a giant inconvenience?" Grace chuckled, running her fingers along the frayed edge of her scarf. "Sounds about right." A silence fell between them, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was like the quiet understanding of two people lost in the same storm, bound by circumstance but strangers still. Then, an idea, sparked partly out of boredom and partly desperation, began to take shape. Lucas met her gaze, mischief flickering in his eyes. "What if we pretend that we're—" "Pretend what?" Grace interrupted with a raised eyebrow but intrigued nonetheless. "That we're in love. Like, really in love." Grace blinked, the idea catching her off guard. "You mean, just for the night?" He nodded, his grin growing. "Exactly 24 hours. We act like we're each other's everything. Coffee dates, holding hands, whispering secrets, all of it. The perfect holiday love story. Then, when this storm clears, we walk away without a backward glance." She laughed, the sound bright and contagious. "That sounds insane, but kind of perfect, right? A staged romance with no strings attached. Sometimes, a fake love story can be a nice distraction." Grace hesitated, then smiled, a spark lighting her eyes. "Okay, you're on." The rules were simple. 24 hours of pretending, then never speak again. It wasn't long before the airport murmurs transformed into the backdrop of a curated tale of passion and warmth. Lucas held the door open for Grace at the cafe, his touch fleeting but charged with a warmth neither had expected. She leaned into him as they shared a small pastry, their laughter melting the cold edges of the waiting room. Their conversations wove through favorite movies, childhood memories, and secret hopes. Lucas revealed his love for star constellations. Grace confessed her lifelong dream of opening a bakery. The walls constructed by previous loneliness crumbled slowly as their bond deepened, fake or not. They wandered the airport corridors as if on a quiet promenade, hands brushing, then entwining. They found a quiet lounge where they exchanged tired smiles and soft confessions. The 24 hours stretched and shifted, and what had begun as a bet bud yielded something more fragile, more breathtaking. Outside, the snow fell relentlessly, blanketing the world in white silence. "Get me out of here," Grace whispered as the night deepened, and Lucas simply nodded, his hand firm around hers. The hotel nearby was full, the airport windows frosted with swirling drifts beyond. Unable to find anything better, they settled on a quiet waiting area with plush chairs. As midnight approached, they shared stories under a tattered airport blanket Lucas had found, the warmth between them no longer pretend. Lucas brushed a loose strand of hair behind Grace's ear, his touch electric. "I thought we were supposed to stop at just pretending." Grace's heart thundered, her breath hitching. "Maybe I don't want to." He leaned closer, and the distance between pretense and reality vanished. Their lips met softly at first, testing, then with increasing urgency, a kiss that spoke of all the words left unsaid. Neither noticed the hours slipping away as the storm outside began to calm. When the sun rose, the airport was quiet save for a sprinkling of hopeful announcements about upcoming flights. Their 24-hour timer was nearly up, yet neither was ready to say goodbye. Grace looked at Lucas, her voice trembling with raw honesty. "What happens now?" He smiled wistfully, the blue in his eyes deepening. "I don't know, but I don't want this to end." Their flights were boarding. Heart-pounding, he asked, "Want to get coffee someday? For real, not pretending?" Grace's eyes sparkled. "Yeah, I'd like that." As their paths diverged, neither spoke of the promises to never meet again. The storm had brought them together, but the first snow had rewritten their destinies. Two strangers, two souls who found warmth in a cold, unexpected place. For more stories, like and subscribe.